Share the love. Daniel, you're my brother. I heard it in a song. Sweet little sister, I sang, you danced along. Universal language, it reaches us in song. What does it mean when love is the underlying theme? 'Cause love is the answer. I share this thought with you, and in return, just some gratitude, and some of your love in return would be so sweet. So come on, people, share the love with me. Your mother, cherish your father, break bread together to celebrate forever. Appreciate this time, weave your dreams, don't be blind. What does this mean when love is the underlying theme? 'Cause love is the answer. I share this thought with you, and in return, just some gratitude, and some of your love in return would be so sweet. So come on, people, share the love with me. 'Cause love is the answer. I share this thought with you, and in return, just some gratitude. Some of your love in return would be so sweet. So come on, people, share the love with me. 'Cause love is the answer. Oh, I'll share this thought with you, and in return, just some gratitude, and some of your love in return would be so sweet. So come on, people, share the love with me.
Hello, and welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living Denver's Sunday online service. We are a loving, prosperous community in the heart of Capitol Hill, and now online. And we will continue to meet online until further notice. Once we have an idea on when we might return to in-person services, we'll be sure to let you know via our email newsletter. You are signed up for our newsletter, aren't you? If you aren't and you want to be, just head over to csldenver.org and sign up right there on the website. We send out one newsletter per week. This week, we will forego our normal Zoom fellowship for a special healing trauma workshop with Haley Korf. This workshop is highly encouraged as it shares with us all we need to know about what trauma is, the misconceptions around trauma, how trauma manifests in our lives and the lives of those around us, and how to cope with trauma once it does manifest. Again, we highly encourage you to join us today at 11 a.m. for this special Zoom workshop. If you need the link to access the Zoom room, just send a quick email to info@cslddenver.org and request the link. We'll make sure you get into the Zoom room. We look forward to seeing you later today for this. This is a love offering basis. And a new program we've got, save the date for Friday, October 23rd. We're going to watch Conversations with God and have a movie discussion. A spiritual cinema evening, if you will. The idea is to watch the movie prior to our connection time. You can watch the movie on Amazon Prime, Google Play, it's streaming on Hoopla, Apple TV, and you might just find it on YouTube. Go ahead and watch the movie prior to October 23rd, and then we will get together in a Zoom room for a spirited discussion. You can request a link to access the Zoom room via info@cslddenver.org. And finally, we still are gathering pictures for a special project. We'd love for you to share your photos from this past summer, this past year with us, or if you'd rather and you have pictures on Facebook or other social media, we could grab them from there. Just drop us a line at info@cslddenver.org and let us know if we can use your pictures in our upcoming project. Well, that's about all I've got this morning. Let's get back into the music with more of Freddie Rodriguez Jr.
It's all good, the world we live in. It's all good, even if we forget. I'll stand strong with you beside me. Keep on trying, you and I. It's all good. People are good. Two is better than one. Change is good. We'll work it out together. It's our world. We'll build our dreams together. Keep on trying, you and I. It's all good. It's all good when we're together. It's all good. Two's better than one. We'll stand strong through stormy weather. Keep on trying, you and I, 'cause it's all good. People are good. Two is better than one. Change is good. We'll work it out together. It's our world. Build our dreams together. Keep on trying, you and I, 'cause it's all good. Ready? People are good. Two is better than one. Change is good. We'll work it out together. It's our world. Build our dreams together. Keep on trying, you and I, 'cause it's all good. Oh, people are good. Two is better than one. Change is good. Yeah, we'll work it out together. It's our world. Build our dreams together. Keep on trying, you and I, 'cause it's all good. Yeah.
Good morning. I'm Bill Carlton, practitioner at CSL Denver. I invite you to close your eyes and take a deep breath. Release all negative emotions and just be present in this world around you. We feel that oneness of God surrounding all of us. And we know that oneness is present in the message of Reverend Elzia, the music of Freddie, and the technical support of Reverend Robert. Just as I know each and every one participating and attending this service is blessed. I am grateful and give thanks for all that has brought us here at this moment. I release these words unto the law, knowing they return to me tenfold. And so it is. The following is a quote from Ernest Holmes in The Science of Mind, page 504. And we enter into this paradise through the gateway of love toward one another and toward God. Love is greater than all else and covers a multitude of mistakes. Love overcomes everything and neutralizes all that is unlike itself. Love is God. And now, more music from Freddie. Thank you.
I'm in you and you're in me, reflecting understanding. I'm in you and you're in me, with compassion. Hey, I'm in you and you're in me, reflecting understanding. I'm in you and you're in me, compassion. Knowing that we're reflections of the infinite self, move towards understanding, we will reflect ourselves, reflecting, understanding, reflecting, understanding. Just like everyone, we're doing the best we can with what we have, the time we have. Stay on his path, go deeper, be kinder, go deeper, be kinder. I'm in you and you're with me, compassion. I'm with you and you're
Good morning. And once again, welcome to CSL Denver, a place, a space, and a face of love. We are a spiritual community practicing universal principles, empowering ourselves and others to live to the best. Now, I first of all want to thank Freddie for that wonderful song, and I thank everyone for being here as we launch into this new month and a new theme. This month, we're looking at the idea of a cosmic connection, a cosmic connection. And the title for this week is The Reflections of You and Me. The Reflections of You and Me. Now, first and foremost, before we get started, we want to say a prayer and send out our best wishes to the President and the First Lady, and know that we're hoping that they get speedy recovery and are back on their feet, because as the title says for this week, that we are a reflection of each other, that we are a reflection of each other. Now, as we look around the world today, if we retrospect that to a year ago, we are looking and feeling and living in a world that most of us barely recognize from a year ago. And everyone is asking the question, why? I'm sure. Now, I may be a little presumptuous in saying everyone's asking that, but I would think at least some point during this last 9 months or so, that question has been asked. Why are we faced with what we're facing right now? Well, I would submit that there is a universal principle, there is a law called the law of reflection. And that needs no real explanation, because all we need to do is go into the bathroom or go into our dressing room, if you will, and stand in front of that mirror, and it will reflect exactly what's in front of it. The image does not change. The image does not reflect something back to you that is not what is already there. And so when we look at this reflection of you and me and the entire world, in fact, the thing that we have to remember is, if we want the outer world to change, we have to change the image that we put in front of the mirror. We have to change that reflection. And so this is what's the Glossary of New Thought Dictionary says. It says consciousness is the real cause of form. And since form is merely a reflection of consciousness, it follows that whenever consciousness is changed, form automatically must change to comply with the new image of thought. It must comply. It must change. So we know, as we begin to look at the world, knowing that it reflects back to us what we put in it, the thing to begin to examine and look at very deeply is, what am I projecting into the world? What am I and everybody else projecting? Because if the world is a mirror of who we are, the things that we like about ourselves, we see those things in others and we gravitate to that. The things we don't like about ourselves, that gets reflected back to us, and then we have some issues with that person. Now, some of you may say, well, I don't know about that. Well, take some time, do the examination. I would submit that that is a absolute truth, because you see, right now we're dealing with spiritual laws. The law of reflection is a spiritual law that acts as a guideline, that acts as a way for us to measure and take stock of what's going on within us and without us. And so when we begin to observe these behaviors and ideas and thoughts within ourselves, we begin to realize and understand the connection between you and me. I want to share this with you right here. by Ernest Holmes that says, we are the image makers. We cannot scratch the reflection out of the mirror, but we can change the image in front of it. So let us create new images which will reflect new patterns, And so that's what we're being called to do today, is that we have to begin to change the way we see the world, change the way we see each other, knowing that each one of us is an individual expression of the divine. No two of us are alike. And we know, we've seen studies, even identical twins have different points of view. There are a lot of things they have in common, but they still have their own unique individuality of how things go. And so we have to begin to look at how can we change the image in front of the mirror. How can we change the front of the mirror? Because what we reflect out gets reflected back to us, or that image begins to solidify in our everyday lives. So just take a moment and think, what am I enjoying in my life? What are those things that are bothering me about my life? And it may be bothering me about others, or situations or things that are showing up to me that are not to my liking. Now, the question is, well, if you don't like it, how do you change it? The Buddhists say it like this: when a mirror is covered with dust, it cannot reflect images. It is the same with all beings. If their minds are not cleared of dust or false belief, the absolute cannot reflect itself to them. So it's an inside out job. It all begins with us. If we are not seeing the world, and we are not relating, and the world is not reflecting back to us what we would like to see, then we have to clean that dust off the mirror. Meaning we have to clean our thoughts, our beliefs, our ideas, the way we see things, so that we may see them in a different light. So we may reflect something different from what we've done in the past. Because you see, we've all had experience, I would submit, that as we gain more perspective of a thing, if we gain more information of a thing, our attitudes, our opinions, and our relationships to them also change. And that happens in every relationship, every environment, and everything that we do. So we must begin to take stock of this. Now, I would submit there's 3 things that we need to do to help change that image of what we see. The first and foremost is we must first connect with the Spirit. We must connect with the divine mind of God first, so that we can align ourselves with pure, true ideas, thoughts, and images. Because you see, it is through that reflection of God that we begin to become exactly who we were created to be. This individual idea, this individual expression, this individual concept of what God is, an attribute of God would be a better way to say that we each individually are attributes of the divine. And so when we begin to understand that and align with that, and most of all, know that, now we're on the right path. Because again, remember, we're dealing with universal laws that are immutable. They don't change. So we have to put ourselves in alignment with those, just like we put ourselves in alignment with gravity, aerodynamics, electricity. You pick the universal law, and we first align ourselves with it. And then if it's the law of aerodynamics, when we get the right law in place, boom, the conditions, we fly. And that's what we're looking to do now. We're looking to fly in a way that we can remake the world in a better place. Now, once we've aligned ourselves with Spirit, the second step is pretty obvious. We must then align ourselves with ourselves. We must take inventory. We must look at our mind. As the Buddhists say, we must take that cleaning cloth and clean off the mirrors of our mind, of our attitudes, of our behaviors, of our beliefs, and put them in alignment with God. Put them in alignment with God, because you see, it is only then that we can truly reflect the divine mind of God. It is only then that we can do that. And so when we do, everything around us begins to change. It begins to reflect something new. It begins to allow us to see the world differently and receive a different response from the world. And that's what we're looking for. We're looking for a reciprocal world, that when I do one thing that's openly loving and kind, that I get that back. And so that's what this whole law of reflection is. We want to begin to create this exchange of energy and ideas and concepts, so that we begin to understand each other better. We begin to see the divine in all, and that we are reflections of each other. And as we do that, as we begin to connect with others, when we go in the grocery store, we say hi. We don't just hold our head down and walk like the person is not there. When we see a situation that is uncomfortable, that is not liking to us, then we send compassion and love toward that situation. If that's the least you can do, then let's do that. And if you have the ability to put forth an action, whatever that action may be, whether it's donations or whether it's actually physically get involved with a situation, then we begin to reflect the world that is connected, that is harmonious, that is humane, if you will. And we begin to want for our brothers and sisters what we want for ourselves. And as we reflect that out, it gets reflected back. The key, I believe, to how we move forward in this world is this quote, where it says, "What we reflect out to the world reflects back to us." When we smile at the world smiles back. We change our reflection to that of God reflecting through us, that comes back in the same, if not more. In the same, if not more. So this is the law of the universe. We've all experienced it. We all know this is true. And it's sometimes difficult to move in that direction. It's sometimes difficult because why? We have not cleaned the mirror. We've not taken those stagnant beliefs, those prejudices, those biases, those hurts, those things of disappointment. We have to clean those from the mirror of our lives, from our mind, and move forward with the new vision, with a new way of looking at who and what we are. Because Ernest Holmes says this: the relationship between the individual and the universal mind is one of reflection. Now, here's the key part. What we imagine for ourselves, the universe imagines for us. The divine mind of God imagines for us. So it's already a done deal. When we create an image in our mind, when we state a purpose, and when we state a desire, the universe is forming and waiting and putting everything together for that to come true. Now the key is, are we going to line up with it? Are we going to do what's necessary to make that reflection of our mind a form in actual reality? That's the key. That's what we want to begin to reflect. That's what we want to begin to rebuild our world with, to rebuild our own inner dialogue with ourselves and with the divine and with each other, as we continue to create a world that works for everyone. Now, that doesn't mean we won't have differences. You know, sometimes you clean the mirror, you miss a spot. And you don't see it when you close up, but when you stand back, say, ooh, I need to put a little more cleaner over there and get that spot, because that spot is not clean at all. And as we begin that give and take, that dance, we begin to see clearly. And so I would submit to you that there's a mantra that I think will help us move forward and be clear about how this reflection and relationship with one another works. Because you see, it is you and me that are asking for these things, and it's called Just Like Me mantra. So just like me, you are seeking some happiness in your life. Just like me, you are trying to avoid suffering in your life. Just like me, you have known sadness. Just like me, you want to be loved. Just like me, you were once an innocent child. And just like me, you are a spirit on a journey. And that's where we are, guys and gals, and men and women and children and all things in life. We're all on a spiritual journey to awaken to the concept of who we really are. And the world reflects back to us where we are on that journey, if we are making a good trip or a tough trip. And so as we look at this week, and we look at the call to action to what it is that will help us begin to cultivate this idea, I say this. First, take a personal inventory. Take a personal inventory of who you are, where you are, and be as honest as you can, because nobody's got to see this but you. Because in essence, I guess everybody might see it, because it's also being reflected out into the world. So you're going to see it one way or the other. So we all have our blind spots. So let's take some inventory of our personal selves and where we are with our thoughts, beliefs, and everything. And then once we do that, it allows us to increase our self-awareness, to be aware of when we are not in line. We'll be aware when we have our biases and prejudices. And then once we do that, we take action. We take action to relieve ourselves of those ideas. We take action to come up with a new thought. We take our time to go do some research, so that when we act, we're doing it from a place of love, understanding, and connection to our fellow man and woman. And so today, the affirmation that we want to reflect into this day and then for the rest of the week is, I reflect all of God's good outward, so that each person I meet can have the same experience of good through me. Can have the same experience of good through me. Truly a reflexive relationship of where we begin to open our hearts and minds to each other. And so it is at that point that we want to go into prayer. So we want to just take a deep breath and know that each individual on the planet in that same moment took a breath. That mirror of who and what we are. And so as we do that, we begin to know that we ourselves are reflections of the Most High God. That infinite moving spirit, that loving creative being that allows us to embark on this journey of life, interconnected in a symbiotic relationship where we begin to understand that we work and live together. We work and live in harmony when we're at our best. And that is the call for today, to understand that we are reflections of each other, and that we are in this relationship where we rise together or we fall together. And so I know that as that mantra said, just like me, each and every one of us is looking for a harmonious place to live and be open and honest and have fun and enjoy the journey of life. And so it is in that knowing that I know right here, right now, that for myself and everyone on this call and everyone that may pick up this video later, that we are open to the idea of change. We are open to the idea of transformation, and that we each have our Windex, if you will, and our cleaning cloth to take all the smudges and all of the dust and all of the things that cause us not to see clearly. And so as we do that, we just open our mind and hearts to be receptive to that, and know that as we do, we will reflect that back to the world. And so it is in that reflection, understanding the universal law, that I release this prayer, knowing that the reflection of it will be implicated in all of our lives, showing us the true measure of ourselves and allowing God to be God and answer it in due course. And so it is, amen. And so it is, amen. And so we want to once again thank you for being here, and I hope you have some upliftment in that talk today. I know I'm trying to reflect out to the world what I want reflect back to me, and that is love, understanding, and harmony for all. And so as we at that time in the program again, where we are so grateful and blessed for everyone's support of CSL Denver, where it's your time, talent, or treasures, and especially during these changing times, we are glad you are here. Whether it's your first time joining us or you're a returning member from the community, we want to thank you for your participation and for your love and support of us during this time. And we are so grateful, and we look forward to your continued support. And as you can see down on the bottom, we have the streaming that tells you how the different ways you can support us through clicking on the donate button on the website, or texting, or even mailing to the P.O. box. And so we look forward to you doing exactly what your heart desires. And also, as you know, we are linked with King Soopers and Amazon Smile. So if you want to know more about how to do that, to support us in your everyday activities, please visit our website for more instructions. And now, as we hold our gift of tithes to our heart, please repeat after me. This perfect gift is spirit informed, circulating and blessing all that it touches. Freely I give, and joyously I receive, and so it is. Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Elzia. Fantastic talk. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay. We have practitioners available. If you need somebody to talk to, we are always here, and we love to talk with you and pray with you. Whatever works for you. Our names and phone numbers are on our website at www.csldenver.org. And please know that we are here for you and would more than love to spend time talking and praying with you. And as we mentioned in our earlier announcements, we do have the Healing Trauma Workshop today with Haley Korf. And it's not too late to send us an email at info@csldenver.org, and we can send you a Zoom link for that. And it promises to be a really good workshop. Haley's really good at this, and will help us with any challenges we have these days with dealing with trauma in this time of kind of interesting times that we're all living in. And we also, as Reverend Robert mentioned in our announcements, we are having a spiritual movie discussion night via Zoom. So if you're interested, we are asking you to watch the movie Conversations with God. It's streaming on Hoopla, or you can rent it on Amazon Prime, Google Play, or Apple TV. And I think Reverend Robert said also you could possibly find it on YouTube. But if you watch that before Friday, October 23rd, then we're going to determine a time here soon soon, and we will just get together and have a discussion about the movie and all of the interesting things that happened with it. And so I think that's it for announcements, and back to Freddie. And thank you again for joining us this morning. We love you all and miss you.